Afternoon all. Hope you all had a nice lunch, and hopefully this doesn't put you all to sleep because I know security is a bit of a lovely subject for everybody and straight after lunch. So yeah, today the talk is the Fast and the Furious. It's a bit of a pun on a well-famous film, The Fast and the Furious, for people who get it. And it's all about introducing security scanners into your pipelines. So I'm just kind of curious here. I'll show a quick show of hands, but who currently has some form of security scanning within their pipelines or within their development life cycle? So not many of us. Nope, that's perfectly good. This is a big talk to get it installed quickly on your local machine and get it integrated into your pipelines, whether that's GitLab or GitHub. So for people who are new into this, that's perfectly fine. This might be a good opportunity for you to trial it in your spare time on some of your work or get involved. So quick introduction for who I am, because I'm probably thinking guy from UK, haven't got a clue, and I've never seen him before. But I'm Zach. I'm an engineer manager at a company called Chip in the UK. We're a fintech company that predominantly use PHP. Um, Part of that role is I run a small security working group within the business that focuses specializing on catching our vulnerabilities. I've been a software developer for about 10 years, with predominantly 9 years of that being in PHP. So I've done my time in PHP. I've got a kind of little bit of thing. Not as many as some people of you here, so I can only envy the pains and the struggles that you've gone through. You might be thinking this might not be typo related, and how is he done typo? I originally started working on typo in 2016 on version 6 and 7. So I've got to see how it was back then and got to see all the great work that all you lot have put in to make it even better. And every time I come back and keep an eye on it, it's great of all the work that everyone's been doing. I'm a big person on getting involved in learning after work, or one of them kind of saddos who likes to do stuff. And for anyone who does it, I don't know if anyone's used Go before, but I really like getting involved in that. And just for reference, Welsh, not English. Just want to put it out there because I know some people are like, oh, English. No, no, sadly. I had as much enjoyment as probably some of you did watching them lose in the Euros final. So that's about it for me. So, what is application security? Application security is the process of developing, adding, or testing security features within websites and web applications. It's about preventing users from being able to gain unauthorized access, modifying or deleting data. That's a bit vague, isn't it? This, a rather large open-ended statement. Thankfully, there's a lovely group called the OWASP. I don't know if many people heard of OWASP. Yeah, we got a few people here. Thankfully, because it's rather broad, they come out with something called the top 10, which is the top 10 most found vulnerabilities. I highly recommend, if no one has had the opportunity to take a look at it, they do, because it'll show you some of the common things you might need to consider when making web applications. And here's an example. Here is the top 10 that is currently available. Some of these you might already be aware of, such as broken access control, cryptographic failures, injection, insecure design. I believe there's a talk around how to get better at testing coming up tomorrow. That'll help with the insecure design, help you get better testing strategy. There's also some security misconfigurations, which you might not really think about, but just, some people just install Apache and Nginx and leave it as default, and I'll help you with those. But the ones that we're going to be mostly focusing on today is vulnerable, out-of-date components, and injection and server-side request forgery. But as I mentioned, that's quite a lot. But how do people catch all of this? Because security is a big open area. You can catch these through code reviews. You can catch this from your past experience, from where you've worked at places and you've picked up tips and tricks along the way. Some people have started to make their own tooling around it. But majority of people use security tools. But what tools are available? So static application security testing is one of the tools that is available for people to use, or SAST. What are SAST scanners? You might be thinking. That's perfectly fine. And how do they benefit you? Well, SAST scanners are just tools that statically analyze your code. They run over it. Think of just PHP Stan. How many people use PHP Stan here? Hey, that's good. It's good. We get quite a few. You'd be surprised how many people don't. So I'm glad that there's good numbers on it. But static application security testing, or SAST scanners, work exactly the same, where they run over your application code rather than the infrastructure. They also don't require you to set up any form of your servers. So you can do this off your you can do this off your personal PC or your work machine as part of your development lifecycle. And the good thing about these tools are you're not the one that's making the rules and the checks. It allows you to lean on the shoulders of the experts in the community that implement the tools. So while you might not have the knowledge and the experience in the security, you can lean on the people who do. So that allows you to get better at finding these vulnerabilities. So here's the different type of scanners you might have seen. I'm sure you've probably seen a few of them on adverts on YouTube. You try and watch something, they realize you're a developer, so you try Sneak or try one of the other ones. But today, we're going to be using SEMGREP. And you're thinking, Zach, why did you pick SEMGREP? Well, it's open source, which is always a big benefit, seeing as open source community right here. It supports PHP and JavaScript natively, so it does your front end and your back end. You've got the ability to make your own custom rules for it. So if anyone has any weird bespoke authentication stuff they want to ensure, you can create your own rules straight off the bat. It's really easy to install locally. So I'll be showing that very shortly. And it's very easy to integrate into your pipelines, whether that is GitLab, CI, or you use GitHub Actions. And the good thing about it is you can run it all locally without a login, and it all stores your stuff locally. So you don't have to convince your manager or the business that they should pay for a membership or do any of that. You can just install it. When you've got a little bit, 5 minutes spare within work, you can just give it a go and have a play around with it. So how does this benefit you as with your PHP? Well, SEMGREP allows you to look for common issues by checking for functions that introduce security misconfigurations and certain vulnerabilities. It also gives you a pile of rules that allows you to check for people that are just changing things casually over time. You won't think about it where, how many people have to code review hundreds of people's code commits a week or a month. Trying to find those one little functions in 1,000-line code change is impossible. With the introduction of these tools, can at least cut down the time on that. So and the good thing about SEMGREP is it offers you with not only PHP and JavaScript, different languages along the way. So, if you use Python, Go, as I mentioned, or if you are introducing any other languages within your infrastructure, you can use this tool. So the rules the rules that they put them in something called a registry. The registry is exactly the same as Packagist. So allows the community and the company to push up all of their rules directly to there, and then you can benefit for them for free. There's currently 395 JavaScript rules for vulnerability to check. It's currently, sadly, only 88. So hopefully after this, some people might be interested and be able to commit a few others up. More the merrier. And the good thing is there's not too many typo-specific ones, there's a very nice area for somebody to get involved there and also help benefit all of you as well. And an example of one of the rule sets that we can get on there is called OWASP Top 10. So we can immediately pull in a package, set of rule sets. There's a combination of all these rules to start trying to find all of the vulnerabilities from that big, huge list of top 10 that was recommended by the OWASP group. So how do you use SEMGREP? Because I did say, and you can quote me on this, that it was nice and easy to set up. If you are a Mac user, it is literally just brew install. It's not hard. If you're a Linux and a Windows user, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, so apologies, but it's just a Python install using pip. And I imagine most people here who are on Windows are using WSL, so you'll have that within the Linux kernel. For pipelines, you can actually install it with just this 2 lines on a GitLab pipeline. Won't do too much. It'll just run and won't actually scan anything, but it's just 2 lines of code and you can integrate it into your pipeline. So this is the fun part now. I'm going to do it all live. So it's going to be a little bit of fun. It's going to go horrifically wrong, as all live demos do. But I thought, why not make it really obvious and about how easy it is and do it live in front of you. And then if it works, you can be like, see, he's done it. If not, then it's a learning experience for us all. Okay, so is the screen okay for size, or do we want to up it a bit more? Yep. Okay, so let's start installing SEMGREP then. So as I said, first of all, brew install SEMGREP. I know it's everyone's favorite, watching loading bars, but it's done. I know that's probably very thrilling for you to watch an install brew. It's all up and running. But the thing I wanted to show you now is while we've got it up and running, I thought it might be good for us to take a look at scanning a PHP application or a typo application live here and show you how easy it is to just start scanning your typo instances. So here we go. Here's a lovely typo. I've got stuff open. Is that okay to see, or do you want to make it a bit bigger? A bit bigger, or just in case? Yep, perfect. So it's a typo instance, got a bit of DDev. There's some extensions going on here with some providers. Just for reference, it's the demo.typo site. So don't expect too much too much stuff going on. It's just a basic login. So there we go. So if we want to now we want to start scanning this now we've got it installed, we can come straight back to the terminal with SEMGREP. Before we go to that, actually, I'll just show you the registry quickly. So this is what we call the registry. It's where you can find all the packages. So as I mentioned earlier on, OWASP has one here that you can install. But what we'll do is, I don't know, go a bit old school with security auditing. But anyone here remember PHP CS security audit tool at all? Is there any really old security scanning people? Nope, that's perfectly fine. Sadly, they have deprecated it, I believe. And so what we can do is just by looking at this, we can go straight on there and you can find here run and test locally. So if we just quickly copy and paste this, go back to the terminal where the file is, and I'll just show you here that it is the typo site. And if we just copy and paste the security scanner immediately, and we run it, there we go. So there we go. Just by scanning that quickly, we have quickly identified that somebody is trying to run an exec straight onto one of the files. I know it's a very simple example. I didn't really want to, we only had 45 minutes, so I didn't want to go really in depth on it. But what we can see here, on the exact line, the file thing that we have, so we're able to identify some potential security vulnerabilities just off one quick line. So now that we found it, what we could do is we could fix it. That would be the ideal thing to do right here now. But I thought let's keep it in there for a minute and let's start looking at how we can integrate this into our pipeline. So I don't know if this is hopefully a little bit bigger, but what I can do here is anybody familiar with GitLab CI pipelines at all? Yeah, we got a few people here. I'm glad. I will show the GitHub one for other people, but I was going to show the GitLab one because you have to actually write code for GitHub, you just click a button and they do it for you, sadly. So for this is a pipeline job for people who are not familiar. And we've defined here the SAST scanning, and we're pulling in the SEMGREP Docker image, and we're running this script. We are using a Git SEMGREP agent here. That's only because it's a nice wrapper that they've introduced around it. So you don't have to put all of those weird variables inside a command. You can start looking at the variables down here. We're going to be adding it into our test stage because to me, we should be testing our security vulnerabilities before it goes out into production. Because, kind of shutting the door before the horse is bolted. Anyone understands that reference? On there, we're also going to make allow failure to be false because we don't want allow failure true would allow it to pass through the pipeline even if it found something. So we want to block the pipeline if it happens. Max entry 2 just in case it crashes for any reason. And then here's the part where it comes into SEMGREP rules. So these are the rules that we've defined from a registry. So in this case, in the pipeline job, we're going to be adding a few more than I've just run. So we're going to be looking at adding a generic PHP one, which looks for just deprecating old insecure vulnerable kind of functions, such as MD5. So if anybody tries putting a password as an MD5 or a SHA-1, it's going to say, use a proper encryption technique. MD5 isn't really appropriate. It's going to check for common injection techniques. So that's when, somebody tries putting a get request, putting something from the get object request straight into a SQL injection or MySQL kind of function. It'll reject it. And there's also the OWASP and the CWE top 25. You can look onto the registry at all of these and read exactly what each rule is doing for the languages. So just it's not all hidden away. It is all publicly available and you can play around with it. The OWASP top 10 and the CWE top 25 doesn't just do PHP attacks, though it has a go at all over the languages. There is some pro, but sadly, majority of them are free. So I think it was 800 odd free for the OWASP one. So you have a good wide range. And then the last part is for anybody who is on GitLab Ultimate or on the Gold Edition. If your company's like paying an absolute fortune for GitLab, you can set this up so it'll put a lovely, pretty security dashboards in for you using the code at the bottom. So that's the bit of code there. But let's actually see how it runs on GitLab, because no one likes looking at YAML. Really, it's questionable. So let's put it into the GitLab CI kind of YAML that will actually configure our pipeline, and let's commit it. Yeah, I'm brave enough to do a live demo, but I'm not brave enough to actually do Git live. So I use Git Kraken. So you're gonna have to see that. So let's say introduce SEMGREP. I don't know how many people here write whip. Are there commit messages or any of those? Not a big fan of it. So that's my little burden to thing. I am a bit of a stickler where I like to see the commit messages have a little bit of summary. So we've just committed that. The internet's good enough for this, thankfully. So let's go to the project. So here it is, T3 security scanner demo that I've got. Here's our lovely application. We have got a failure because I forgot to put in a production key to deploy it. Apologies. So let's go jump into the pipelines. So as you can see here, we've now got the introduce SEMGREP pipeline running. So let's have a look to see what it actually does, because we do have a PHP code, a PHP scan, and a lint checker going on. So we've already identified this as a security concern there, and we see that the SEMGREP has already failed. So now we can dial in to it by clicking on it, and we can start seeing that the pipeline has been blocked because of the vulnerability it's found. And because we are reporting it into the report in a lovely format, lovely is questionable, but what we can do is we can jump straight in to it here, and we can start seeing this lovely format here, which you can pump into most of your security tooling to start having all your kind of vulnerabilities tracked. So yeah, that's kind of how you introduce SEMGREP into pipelines for that. Where else we go? Let's have a look. So that's the demo in SEMGREP with your PHP application. So what's next? So your code and your colleague's code, it's always going to be your colleague's code, isn't it? Let's be real. No one's going to get plain when one's found. So we'll say it's your colleague or ex-colleague normally. Code has been checked and all the common vulnerabilities have been resolved within it. But what about your Composer and NPM packages? Can server containers also be installs also be insecure? But then you're thinking, but I didn't write the code. It's not my problem. Someone else can deal with it, But this is where supply chain attacks come from. And there's a lovely, you might be thinking, what are supply chain attacks? Well, there's a lovely little bit of blurb that I grabbed off the internet. And thankfully, it's not Wikipedia, it's a different source. But supply chain attack is a type of cyber attack targets a trusted third-party vendor who offers services and software vital to the supply chain. And who wrote that? CrowdStrike. So yeah, so there we go. You've got to learn from the best. But how does that affect you or me as the developer? So who here knows every package they have installed, and every package their package has installed, and if you use an npm, the next package that also installs? I'm going to say not many people. I don't think, unless you are like really in depth digging through your packages, you don't. So how do you know if they have any common vulnerabilities or exposures? You don't. You just have to trust that they kind of, you update it on a regular basis. But this is where you can start scanning your dependencies. So you can use scanners to check over your package files for issues in the following: Composer packages, npm, apt, and apk. So that's for Alpine and Ubuntu. you can do others for people who use servers, and also your operating systems. So if you are using a on metal or a VPS or you go through containers, or if anyone here uses Kubernetes and wants to go through that pain a little bit, but you can scan them all. While they're not a silver bullet, they will help you identify common CVEs. So they're not going to give you all the security concerns, but the any ones that have been identified and reported, you will have access to see how they were resolved and how they were found. So this is where another tool comes through. It was earlier, one of the scanners. It's a lovely tool called Trivy. Trivy allows you to scan your operating system and your software dependencies. It goes through your package manager files, such as your Composer lock, your package lock JSONs, or your yarn locks, depending on which side of the JavaScript war you're on with package managers. And it also scans your operating system package managers, such as APK, APT, and whatever flavor of Unix ones you've got installed along the way. So how can you use it? Sounds like a very powerful tool. Well, Trivy has lots of different tools and things you can do, and these are only 3 of them that I'm covering today. I think it would have to be an entire talk if you wanted to go through all of them. So I highly recommend, if you are doing anything with kind of servers or infrastructure, highly recommend taking a look at this tool but today, because the majority of people here are going to be software engineers, we're going to be looking at 2 of these 3, but I just wanted to just give you a tip about the one. So the first one is we install it directly on your server or your local machine, and you start running file system scans on the code base. So that'll just run through your entire code and look for any of those package managers or any of the install log files you have, and then start scanning from the vulnerabilities of what you've actually got installed. You can also have it set up so it'll hit your repository, whether that's GitLab, GitHub, Bitbucket if you really want to feel some pain, or any other ones along the way. We can also start scanning Docker images, and you can scan these directly from your container registry. So if that's ECR, Docker Hub, or I forgot what the Google one's called, but along the way, we're those. So you're not only just scanning your file systems, you can actually just go straight to the container that you'll be putting out. So let's have another live demo. Why not? I did say it was easy, so let's go for another one. So let's clear this, and let's go for another brew install. So the company that runs this is called Aqua Security. They offer a whole range of tools. I'm not sponsored or anything by them. I just makes my life easier when I have to run security stuff. So I highly recommend. I thought it might be beneficial for some people here that might kind of want to use it. So let's install Trivy straight away. So there we go. Trivy's up and running. So now we have Trivy installed on our local machine. We're still in this PHP type 3 application. So let's just try Trivy file system. And let's just scan the entire directory. So it's going to comb through the entire code base now, through the directory and down, and find all of these. Oh, we found something. So the first one is, it's found a DDEV private key. We probably shouldn't have our private keys there. So that's probably a good one we should look at resolving. But we do have a pile up here. And let me just make this shorter so the table fits in nicely. What we found here is a lovely ASCII table, everyone's favorite, where it's gone over the yarn file and it's found 44 vulnerabilities just off the install. So this is just me installing the basic demo site, and it's already identified 4 vulnerabilities, with one of them being a critical, or 4 criticals actually. Ooh, it's a bit more than what I thought it was. So as you can come through these now, you can start realizing most of these are just JavaScript packages. Some lovely Lodash in there, some post CSS, some Semver. Oh, there's a tar, along the way. So you think, oh crap, now I got some packages I need to kind of update. But similar to the SEMGREP one, now we've got it up and running and we know we have some vulnerabilities. Let's introduce it into our pipeline, and then we can look at fixing it nice and early. And I completely forgot to fix the SEMGREP one. So we'll go back and fix that one as well. We'll clear the pipeline and we'll get all ready for a solid merge request. So much like the SEMGREP one, we've got a lovely Trivy one. However, Trivy is a little bit different than SEMGREP 7 up, but it's pretty much a copy and paste job from this situation. I will be putting all these up afterwards. So if anybody does want to try it on their repository, they can just copy and paste these configs in. But let's go through it so you know where you're copy and pasting in. So for this, we're going to be setting it up in the test suite, the test stage again, because again, vulnerabilities should be found in the test and not put out into production. We're going to be using a generic Docker image because we don't really need it to do anything else. Setting up where we're going to be accessing the entry point of the Docker and some Docker configuration just so we can access the IP address for it on the GitLab pipeline, so nothing too much. And then before that, the before script is literally just downloading the latest Trivy. So you can always ensure that our pipeline is always having the newest Trivy with all of the scans in there. So we're not just going to be scanning our stuff for vulnerabilities using old technologies that don't know about the new vulnerabilities. We've also set it as allow false again, meaning block the pipeline, because we don't really want to put vulnerabilities out into production. And now here comes the fun. So this one, I've split it up into 3 different stages. You can just run the bottom stage perfectly fine, but I build the report within the pipeline, so I get a lovely JSON file. I print it so I can see it if it does error within the pipeline, and then I run it again on the fail if there's any criticals. So it only fails the pipeline if there's any criticals, but I report all my highs and above from the severity. So you might think that's running it 3 times, that's 3 scans. That can't be efficient. This is where we start pouring everything into the cache directory using Trivy. So the first scan does the actual scan. The other ones just read the results of the scan and react to them on there. And then we, again, similar to last time, if you are using GitLab Ultimate or Gold, this will go into a lovely artifact, which will then go onto the security dashboard. So, but again, good luck trying to get your companies to commit to that, because it is like per developer, per project, per blink looking at it, they'll bill you. It's a bit expensive, but it's worth it. But you can generate the reports and access them from this anyway, just from hitting the artifact stuff. Just a bit of a manual job. So now we have that. Let's look at getting this into the project. So again, I'm back into the GitLab configuration. Let's just paste this in. So it's all up in there perfectly. And then let's have another go at putting, doing a git. So let's just say install Trivy, because we don't do whip commits. As that's the hill I will die on, is that people don't do whip commits. So apologies for anybody who does. So now that we've got that committed up, let's go, where are we looking? Google, there you go. Let's go back to the T3DD security scanner and look at the pipeline. So now we're on the pipeline here. We can click the job and have a look to see it running. And we can see that the SAST scan's still there because we've just committed onto it. So now we're going to hopefully fail on the SAST because we had that function that was insecure. And hopefully now we're going to fail off the Trivy one because we had all those vulnerabilities. And once we've done that, well, let's fix them live. And I'll show you it passing. Oh, there's the first one. And may as well give it a go live, and it's part of the fun of doing it at a conference. Where else we go? So let's have a look at that. As we can see, yep, that one's failed. And then hopefully the Trivy one. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they are instant. Sadly, as anyone who has worked with GitLab pipelines know, it's, you're rolling the dice on how quick they can be sometimes. But there we go. That was duration of 1 minute and 2 seconds to scan your application to do it. Obviously, the bigger your applications are for people who have typo sites with like 500 domains under them, maybe not that to that extent, but a lot, it will take a little bit longer. But, you don't have to do it. It's up to you whether or not you want to commit to it every merge request. You can look at just running it on something called a scheduled job, which is within GitLab, where you can run it on a cron-based period of your own. So you can always, run it on a Sunday, run all your security stuff on a Sunday, and then come into the fire on Monday. Nothing says, you've got to love security like that. So now we have 2 vulnerabilities, 2 blocked pipelines from some vulnerabilities found. So let's first take a look at the SEMGREP one. So in the terminal, we'll use that one because it had the lovely, pretty thing. Where is it? Let's get rid of that and put it back to the top so everybody can see. Where is it? So the SEMGREP one we ran here, the security audit, and we found that we had that one vulnerability within the demo login authentication service. So let's jump straight into our PHP and let's go straight to that file. And we see, oh, obviously it's a very good example. I know, apologies, but somebody's just executing a hello user onto the server. So people, how many people have seen anyone in old code bases randomly do executives rather than actually doing it? It's pretty common. Oh, well, I don't know if many of you have, but I found it's pretty common in very legacy code bases where people use these. So that's why I've used this as a nice example. So for our case, then we can look at just removing that because we don't need it. And then what we can do then is if we just commit that, I'm not going to make you go through two pipelines. We'll fix them both at the same time. Remove exec, and then the other one, which was a lot of the JavaScript magic going on, that had some vulnerabilities. We've realized that a lot of the reports within the Trivy results was out of date packages from JavaScript, and it's everyone's favorite job, or to warm up their house, is running yarn update. So let's run, I believe, is it square? I'm going to get caught out now a little bit because it shows you how much I don't do. Oh, I'm already in the directory. Never mind. Webpack, and then there's clear. I don't know if does anyone actually like the new PHP Storm terminal, or is it just me that's a bit with it? But yeah, so let's just run the yarn upgrade quickly. Let's see if this works. We're just going to pull in all of the packages that we give it a quick upgrade because we had a few criticals, but the good thing about Trivy is if I just quickly jump to the terminal rather than watching the loading bar, you can see here that it's cut off, but you see here there's the version that we're on, and there's the versions that have the fixes in place. So it's already told us what versions we need to upgrade stuff to. I know it's not the most enjoyable job when someone says we have to update packages, but at least we know what ones we need to get to satisfy the quota, rather than doing incremental until we get told that it's done. So now it's been done. It only took 11 seconds. God, that's a lot faster than what I remember Yarn doing. So now we got that up and running. Let's give this a commit quickly, and let's just say update JavaScript packages. What's this one doing? It's just a quick change. Let's commit that, and let's jump. Apologies for jumping around for anyone who's kind of wants to take things of anything, but I will upload all the slides in it and all the code base afterwards. But let's just go to Chrome, and let's go back to the pipeline. And let's take a look at this. So this is the update JavaScript packages we just committed. So let's take a look at this one. And so we can see the scans running again. Hopefully it only takes a minute again. And then I'm hoping I've not messed up lint because this will be really awkward. But we can hopefully get this all pass in and make a merge request. And then, well, it's only me. It's only a private repository, so no one's going to code review it. But we can hopefully get it in a state where we can look to bring it in without bringing vulnerabilities into our main package, into our main branch. Sorry. So let's look at the Trivy. Hopefully nope, that one's still not done. SAST. So SAST is done, and it's found no vulnerabilities. So that's all ticked. So we fixed the SAST stuff. Very complex, I know, but apologies. I didn't think you'd want to sit through me having to pick apart kind of stuff. And the Trivy stuff, it has found two highs, but we were only blocking on criticals. So we can look at going in and fixing these, but they are two major version upgrades. So, it's going to be a little bit more work than a yarn upgrade to resolve those, but we are only blocking. So if we refresh the pipeline, there we go. I think the SAST one's taking a little bit longer because it should be, yeah, job succeeded. So it should be green. So there we go. So we've patched the package vulnerabilities that we had, and also removed some potential insecure code that was not relevant for the kind of work. So that's how you can demo it. I did mention for the GitHub people, I don't imagine is there many GitHub pipeline people here? Or is, yeah, we got a few. You might think that was a lot of faff just to get it done. GitHub people, you just come to the SEMGREP stuff, you click add, you pick the repository you want it on. It's not really art, is it, for that one? And the same with Trivy. You pick which version you want, stuff. So sadly, if you're a GitLab user, you are going to go through the same pain of having to manage YAML. If you're a GitHub person, well, you just got to click buttons and you're done. The joys of GitHub, really, isn't it? The magic. These are free. You do just have to pay majority of the time for the runners. So if you are already paying for like GitHub Pro and all these premium accounts, they normally give you runner time with it, so you can install these into your extensions, your packages, and all your personal stuff or your work stuff if you have it. So we've done Trivy, we've done upgrades, we've made it into a better position where we've kind of got everything up to date now. So now we have it all set up. Now what? And this is every developer's favorite part, having to do anything. It's reports. Who doesn't love a good report and having to provide them? Well, thankfully, SEMGREP and Trivy make your life really easy. I did show some previous examples where you can put stuff into artifacts, but what it does, both SEMGREP and Trivy support JSON output and SAST. If I pronounced it wrong, apologies. But this is a common format that security people love. And you can generate all your reports onto that. And if you ever need to provide them to customers or to partners or anybody involved, you can generate them quickly on the fly. For anyone if anybody worked with SBOMs before, or software bill of materials, the best way to think about it is a big, huge document that lists every single package that your application uses. So obviously working in a fintech company, we have to provide SBOMs to a few of our partners about what of all our applications are using. It's horrifically boring to do if you don't have a tool to comb through all of your stuff. So if you ever need to use any of those, or if anybody asks you for any legal reason, these two cover it. I know it's really exciting, but it's saved my ass a few times. So that's something I just wanted to mention. And again, if you use GitLab, you can have all of these go straight into a dashboard. So if you do have customers that they are paying for security kind of work that you get, or SLAs and all that, you can give them a lovely little dashboard to look at and be like, you had a security vulnerability yesterday, it's been resolved now, and they can see how many vulnerabilities their packages have. So it's really useful for if anybody does have any security SLA stuff. Kind of takes a developer out or a project manager out having to do a report. So now that we've got all this set up, are we secure? No? Yeah, sadly not. You're not secure. I know it's a lot of faff, and you've sat here for 40 minutes thinking, but no, you're not. But I just want to congratulate everyone who is already doing them, or on their way of doing them, or thinking about doing it. It's perfectly fine. You're on your first step in getting involved in making your applications better, more secure, and also getting involved in the application security or cybersecurity area. I know at the very beginning, I want to give you a list of 10 that was very broad. I know cybersecurity can be a little bit scary to get involved in. So I just wanted to give some people some examples of how they can start installing tools and getting involved in the area. But security is all about layers. This is a great way to prevent common vulnerabilities and exposure and being a part of that. But there'll be other talks around this week and other techniques that'll help you add other layers. I believe there's a talk on after the coffee break in this room, which will give you advice on how to get better in your security around type 3. And that's just going to give you more layers. And that's all security is about. There is no answer. There is no, I know they tell you pay £7,000 a minute for this super duper cool tool. It's not going to be your answer for everything. Sadly, you're going to have to add layers. And for anyone who hasn't got any of the tools introduced into their pipelines or their application or developer lifecycle, this is why I recommended these two today, so you can get involved in it. So thanks for putting up with me while you wait for the PHP unit talk. I know you all wanted to come in and kick some good seats. So thank you all for putting through with the time. I know I'm a little bit early. I only put this down as a lightning talk, so you've kind of heard me drag it out a little bit. So apologies. I just Iris, do we have any questions around security pipelines or anything that I've talked about? Yes. Yeah. Yes, yes. And that's just so people who didn't hear it. The question was if if you have a package with a vulnerability, do you have the ability to exclude it from the report? Yes, yes, you do actually. So there is, I probably should have covered that. Good question. So there is inside SEMGREP. Questioning where it is now. It's going to question my searching now. So thank you. But you can have something called a SEMGREP configuration file with inside it, which allows you to put it inside your application. And then you can ensure that all your developers who are working on the code base and your pipeline are all running the same security scans. So what you can do in there is exclude rules where you can say, if this vulnerability comes up, ignore it. It kind of works in a similar way to the PHP scan, where it's a bit regular expression-y, but it is all in YAML though. So yeah, good luck with YAML. I'll try and find it, but if not, I'll add it in the comment when I post it in the T3 Slack channel. Was there happen to be any others? Yep, there's one all the way at the back. I think you might have to do a microphone on that one.
Hi, thanks for the talk. What would be your approach to get something like this set up in a more like company-wide thing? So not doing it like one repository at a time, but
Yeah, that's perfectly good. So the way we kind of did it was when we introduced it into our company. We first of all we introduced it into one just to see. We introduced it into what we call it the monolith. It was a big scary old PHP 7.4 application that we weren't too keen of. So the way we did that is we first ran it with allow failures to be true. So we knew we didn't have the time and the resources, and trying to convince the business to let us fix it all was going to be hard. So we done that and we generated the reports. And then once we got it running and we knew we were happy with the configuration, we moved it all out into this is going to be very specific to GitLab, but we moved it out into a separate repository that we call the SAST scanning. I forgot where it's scanning like job. And what we do then is we just now have that be imported into all of our pipeline jobs. So now whenever we want to change anything, we just change the configuration in the one repository, and it gets spread across all of our entire repositories. So we just use the GitLab job extensions to bring it in, and that allows us to, with it being moved, all the configuration being moved into that repository. We've locked that down so only specific people can change it. So now we can't have it where one team on a different repository has changed the failure to be true and they get away with it. We now have a very centralized scanning tools across the entire repositories. So it's no problem. I don't know if that happens.
yeah. And do you have something like a dashboard or an overview for everything what's going on in the different projects? Something like that?
You can on the GitLab one on the Ultimate, you can dial into individual projects and see them, but you can also go up the directory to go to like the company GitLab, and then you can click like the security tools there, and then you see all of them in one place. Okay. So you can do it that way. I don't like doing that one so much because it's a bit like, oh shit, we got quite a lot to look at. So I normally stick to just the per project one, so it don't look too scary.
Thanks.
That's no problem. We go. I think it was that one first. Apologies. Up there.
You mentioned if you're not running on GitLab Ultimate, you're sort of bound when it comes to creating reports.
No, so
or to displaying reports rather.
Yeah, so displaying them on the merge request, yes. But the good thing about it is, if I just quickly go here into the pipeline, let's go back into a previous pipeline that failed, so we can actually see one. You're not essentially can't do it. It's just that it's got to be a bit manual. So doing it per merge request might be a little bit of pain. But if you run we run on GitLab, we run scheduled pipelines, so we run it every Sunday. And what you can do then is if you go into like browse, for example, you can see the report here. you can just download the report, and there is tools you can put them into directly. So yeah, you are paying a lot of money for them to do that little manual job. But yeah, so you're not completely done in. You've just got to do a little bit more work for it, sadly. But yeah, you can though, if you run them locally, because you can run all these tools locally, you can then pipe them into things if you want to directly, and then generate them that way. So I know probably not the answer you were looking for, but it's kind of a bit of a plaster.
Yeah, I was just
for the
wondering if you
situation.
have any experience with like, depending on if the pipeline fails, you'll then have, I don't know, some arbitrary machine have it run locally and then generate those reports, so you don't have to like navigate to Git to check if your pipeline fails and then have it be downloaded, stuff like that. I guess you're just logged into that process.
Yeah, no, we have on ours. It might be something that might be useful. But we have it so if it fails, it notifies Slack. So and then then you could go in and find it. It's not going to be. I don't think it's going to be sadly perfect, because even on the GitLab Ultimate one, they don't tell you it's failed either. You kind of have to go in and check and go, oh, it's failed. So that's why we kind of result on failure. We send it to Slack. We do it that way.
Gotcha. Thank you.
That's no problem. There was one down here. Down the front by here.
The scanning of third-party extensions regarding the CVEs is the only benefit that it's just one tool, because NPM and Composer both come with an audit tool, which I at least expect it to be the same, or is there anything else that's added by the tool?
Or by Trivy.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Trivy. Yeah, Trivy. So I only covered with Trivy a very short amount of stuff that it does, only because it's a very big topic. But if you look in the Trivy docs and you go to the documentation stuff, you can see here that it not only does file systems, container images, and Kubernetes. It does it can scan your AWS. It can also go through and scan your. If anyone uses infrastructure as code here, any Terraform fans? Or here we go, one guy feels the pain. It's but yeah, Terraform is a way to kind of allow you to write your infrastructure as code and commit it. So you got so they'll go through and scan. So you can use those tools to catch your software stuff, but this tool kind of does the software and the hardware a little bit more. So that's my only reason for recommending it, because it's many people forget how like about some of their packages. I'll just show you a quick example now, just so it might answer you a little bit question a little bit. But if we do like Trivy image, and then we just say Nginx latest, because I'm assuming we got some Nginx fans in here, or are we all Apache? Yeah, we got one. But if we just run Trivy image on the latest Nginx, there we go. It lights up like a Christmas tree. 2 secs. There we go. So we got 150 vulnerabilities, 3 critical, 15 high. So this is kind of why I like Trivy more than those two, because it gives you the opportunity to start scanning against tools that they don't have control over. And so hopefully that kind of answered your question a little bit. Yeah. I think we got a little bit of time, have we? No, we're all done on time. So apparently, but thank you so much.